Around 30,000 Californians are under evacuation orders as a rapidly growing fire continues to spread through the hills around Los Angeles. Dry conditions and really strong winds are fanning the blaze in Pacific Palisades, putting thousands of homes at risk. Hundreds of firefighters have been deployed and officials say more than 1,100 hectares have been burned and conditions are expected to worsen overnight.
Standing in my driveway getting ready to evacuate. We've got a lot of planes going over.
American actor James Woods shot these videos before he evacuated his home. Local residents say they've never seen a fire burn so quickly.
Literally flaming debris landed in the road near where we were standing. So it seemed to me, let's get out of here. But whatever I lose, and there's nothing I can do about it.
It's just so sad, and I feel for everyone that's lost property in fires. I've never been this close to it. Driving down the canyon was really very shattering.
Yeah, so it's just gone 10 p.m. in LA and this fire is still raging. I was just taking a look at the LA Times website a little earlier and they were saying that the peak wind conditions, the strongest winds, are expected to hit this blaze between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. So over the next 7 hours, the fire has already burnt through so much of that Pacific Palisades area. So, yeah, they're in for a really tough night there in LA. Reporter Isabella Higgins has more.
Well, as you can see, Joe, it's really hellish scenes in Los Angeles at the moment, which is in a state of emergency. This fire has been burning for hours and things have gone from bad to terrible. The Pacific Palisades is a very affluent part of Los Angeles. It's really home to the rich and famous, but a very densely populated area as well. About 30,000 people have been ordered to evacuate. We've seen scenes of cars bumper to bumper on the highway, people trying to get out. And in fact, some people felt like they couldn't get out fast enough by car and fled on foot. And in fact, bulldozers were brought in to move some of those cars off the road so that emergency services could get in and try and save some of these properties. Quite remarkable scenes of Teslas, Mercedes, really nice cars just being scooped up by bulldozers. At the moment, we're seeing pictures of full streets, many houses, schools, public buildings that are completely engulfed by flames. Of course, it's nighttime there and we've got a red sky and really fire as far as the eye can see. We've heard from emergency services who say that there are hundreds of crews ready and deployed, extremely experienced teams who are used to dealing with fires of this size, but many are saying that this is still among the worst that they've seen in recent times. We heard earlier from the California governor who said, unfortunately, this is just becoming part of life in California.
We were here not too long ago, the Franklin fire. A few weeks prior to that, the Mountain Fire, November, December, now January. There's no fire season, it's fire year, it's year round. And it's incredibly important that we heed the warnings, the calls, that we're not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination.
And Isabella, what's expected in the hours ahead?
Well, Joe, it's looking extremely serious already, but still it's expected to get worse. Those winds that are fueling these blazes are expected to get stronger and even more destructive.
And here are those pictures you were talking about the dozer
those
shifting.
Bulldozers, you can see that Mercedes there, a Tesla, they're just moving in and pushing those cars to the side so that emergency services can get in. I mean, if we think about the terrain of this place, it's a valley, a mountain, a range, so they're quite difficult to access some of these properties, and you can see there just the intensity of the blaze is absolutely destroying some of those homes. And yet we are expecting in the hours to come that it could get even worse.
It's hard to think how, because the wind's already like up more than 100 k's an hour.
Exactly, and there's about 8 hours and they're saying it's really going to be the danger zone. So that's starting in a couple of hours. Look, emergency services were prepared for this. It was forecast by the National Weather Service that there was going to be this high wind event and conditions had just been dangerously dry for a really long time. As we heard from the governor, it's no longer a fire season in California because of a prolonged drought. It's so dry that things like this can just happen at any time. So it's going to be a really anxious night for the residents of Los Angeles.
Yeah, and some extraordinary images coming from there. And I heard in one of the earlier media conferences, one of the authorities saying that they feared many homes had been lost. Have you heard anything about the number of homes already, or not just yet?
Certainly from the pictures that we're seeing, you can say that there are, without a doubt, dozens and dozens of homes that have been ruined. They were estimating that tens of thousands were at risk. From the pictures that we're seeing, it seems very likely that that could be the case. This will burn through the night, and tomorrow I think we're going to start to get an idea of just how extensive this damage is, but it looks very bad.
And no reports of injuries, any injuries yet?
Still at this stage, too early. It's really in that crisis moment. Teams rushing out, doing what they can, people fleeing. So no early reports, but again, I think we can expect over the hours and perhaps even days that those numbers, perhaps death tolls, injury, they will climb.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Isabella Higgins.
Thanks, Joe.